Good morning. Lashana Tova. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us today. It's a special day. It's Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is Jewish I'm sorry day. But first, before we get into talking about Yom Kippur, please join me in a song, kind of moving your bodies around. Ready? And just follow me. I think you know this piece. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Einayim, oznayim, peh ve'af. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Rosh, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Rosh, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Einayim, oznayim, peh ve'af. Rosh, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Did you catch any strange words? But now you know what they are, right? Rosh, shoulders, knees, and toes. This is a Rosh. This is your head. And when we have Yom Kippur, Jewish I'm Sorry Day, we think about the things that we've done wrong. Maybe we've hurt somebody's feelings. And we think about how to make that person's feelings better and how to improve. And when we Einayim, using our eyes, see that somebody's hurting or upset, we can go up to that person and try to make that person feel better. Oznayim, if we listen and we hear that somebody is upset or somebody says, hey, you hurt my feelings, then we know how to respond. Peh, the mouth, helps us to say, I'm sorry. I love you. Can I make you feel better? Af smells all the wonderful things in the world, and Yom Kippur is just an important day, but it's not a sad day. It's kind of a happy day because you and I know that when we say, I'm sorry, we feel better. And the person whom we accidentally hurt also feels better. And now you know all about Yom Kippur. And let's start with a song which I think you've learned before, and you can just echo with me. It goes like this. Modeh ani, modeh ani, lefanecha, lefanecha, melech chai, v'kayam, v'kayam, shehechezarta, shehechezarta, binishmati, binishmati, b'chemla, b'chemla, rabba, Rabba, emunatecha, emunatecha. And all that means is, I thank you, God, because you've given me life, and it's a beautiful new day, and I can't wait to share it with other people. Today is Yom Kippur, and we have a friend. His name is Yehuda, and he's going to be singing a song about Shalom. It's Hevenu Shalom Alechem. And I look forward to your singing along. And actually, in the Rosh Hashanah bags that you received last week, you have the words, but they're very easy words, and you'll learn them from Yehuda. And now our friend Yehuda singing Hevenu Shalom Alechem.
Havenu Shalom Alechem, Havenu Shalom Alechem, Havenu Shalom Alechem. Avenu shalom, shalom, shalom aleichem. Avenu shalom aleichem. Avenu shalom aleichem. Avenu shalom aleichem. Avenu shalom, shalom, shalom aleichem. Avenu shalom aleichem. Avenu shalom aleichem. Avenu shalom aleichem. Avenu shalom, shalom, shalom aleichem. Avenu shalom, shalom, shalom aleichem.
Here's a song that I think you might enjoy singing with me. Do you know knock knock who's there? Try this. Knock knock. Who's there? Isaiah. Isaiah who? Isaiah hine. You try. Hine. Hine matov, hine matov, hine matov, umanaim, hine matov, umanaim, shevet, shevet, shevet achim, shevet achim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, Hine Matov Umanayim, Hine Matov Umanayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. And now it changes. Hine Matov Umanayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, Hine Matov Umanayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, Hine Matov Umanayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Boom. Which is another very famous song that goes back 3,000 years. That's even older than your grandparents. And it all talks about how beautiful it is for us to come together and be together as a group, as family, and as friends. And now, one of the most important parts of being Jewish is the Shema. Shema means listen and pay attention. And I think you learned this before. We do it in sign language. It goes like this. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Please try that one more time with me. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. And now I want to share one of my favorite Yom Kippur stories with you. This story is called The Hardest Word, and it's by Jacqueline Jules, illustrated by Catherine Janice Kahn, and we have it here because of the PJ Library. Wow, a long time ago, in the ancient days, there were some beautiful and fantastical creatures. One of them was called the Ziz. The Ziz was so big, when he spread out his wings, he blocked the sun as if he were a dark rain cloud. Every time he flew over town, all the mothers would call to their children, "Quick, quick, come inside. It's almost dark, as if it's going to rain." This made the big Ziz sad. He loved children. He did not want to spoil their playtime. So the Ziz began flying around at night when no one would notice that he made the sky dark with his gigantic wings. And that worked fine for a while. But then one night, the big Ziz flew so high, he bumped into a star. Stazzle, snap, bang, crash. And the star fell down out of the sky and down to earth. And it burned a big hole into the ground. The next morning, when the Ziz saw the big hole, he was worried. What can I do to cover up this hole? He thought about it for a while, and he came up with an idea. He stretched out his wings and went back up into the sky. And this time he knocked down a cloud. Plop! The cloud was full of rain, and it filled the big hole with water. Now the big hole was a lovely pond, perfect for swimming. All the children came running to the pond. They were very happy. It was a hot, sunny day, and they had a wonderful time splashing and playing in the water. I fixed my mistake, and the Ziz was happy. One day, however, the Ziz made a mistake he could not fix. It was just before Yom Kippur. He was flying along, and he was not watching where he was going, and crash right into a tree, which knocked over another tree. And that tree knocked down another tree, and the big tree at last fell down in the vegetable garden behind the synagogue, and it crashed, and it destroyed all the vegetables that the children had planted. The beans, the pumpkins, the gourds, the squash, all the vegetables the children had worked hard to plant were mashed into bits. I can't fix this by knocking down a cloud, the Ziz cried. The Ziz flew home, and he sat in his own garden to think. He had watched the children plant their vegetable garden. Every year they harvested the fruits to decorate their sukkah. What will the children do this year? The Ziz spread out his big wings, and he flew off to have a chat with God. The Ziz had a special place where he liked to talk to God. It was Mount Sinai. The Ziz was so big that when he stood on Mount Sinai, his purple feathered head reached right up into the heavens. What have you done this time? God asked, as soon as he saw the Z's. This was not the first time that Z's had come to Mount Sinai after making a mistake. I knocked over a big tree. It knocked over another tree and another, and that tree smashed the vegetable garden. The children's garden? God asked. Yes. That's a problem, God said. I can't knock down a cloud and make this better. No, you can't. What should I do? I want you to do something for me, God said. I want you to search the earth and bring back the hardest word. The hardest word? Yes, God said. The hardest word. Now go. The Z stretched out his big wings and he went off to search. And he flew over mountains, over trees, over valleys. He flew over seas. After searching for a whole day, the Z stopped to rest at the edge of a forest. In a little house nearby, he heard a mother and a child. They were arguing. I don't want to go to bed, the little boy said. You need your rest, Mommy said. I'm not tired, the little boy cried. Good night, the mother said firmly, and she closed the door. That's it. I found it, the hardest word. He flew as fast as he could to Mount Sinai. With great excitement, he said, I found it. I found the hardest word. What is it? God asked. It's good night. Children find it very hard to say good night when they still want to stay up and play. Aziz was very proud of himself. Good night is a hard word for children, God agreed. But there's another word, even harder. There is? There is. Go find it. So the Z spread his mighty wings and went off to search. Flap, flap, flap. And he flew and he searched all day. And he stopped at a big party near a castle. He listened. With so many people talking, he felt sure someone would say the hardest word. I'm hungry, a little girl said to her mother. May I have some piscetti, please? The mother smiled. You mean spaghetti? Ah, that's it. I know the hardest word. And the Z's flew back up to Mount Sinai. I know the hardest word. What is it? God asked. Spaghetti. It's very hard to say. Spaghetti is a hard word to say, but that's not the one I want. Even harder. The Z's flapped his wings and flew off. He flew over trees, he flew over seas, flap, 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 and he went back and forth. And he kept bringing other words, hard words like rock, which is a hard word, and rhinoceros, and ridiculous, and Rumpelstiltskin. Each time God sent the Z's back out to find another word. Ridiculous, elephant, unhappy, finagle, anxious, disappoint. So many words. Finally, the Z said, I've come to say I'm sorry. I can't find the hardest word. You can't? God asked. No, the Z shook his head. I'm sorry. You're sorry? God asked. Yes, I'm sorry. Good job, God said. You found the hardest word. I did? Now the Z was confused. Yes, God said. The hardest word is sorry. While all the words you brought me were hard to say, sorry is the hardest to really say and to mean. I always say I'm sorry in Yom Kippur, the Z said. Well, you should say it other times too, God answered. Like when I smashed the garden? Yes, said God. The Z thanked God, and he pulled his purple feathered head out of the heavens. Then he spread out his great big wings, and he flew back to the children's garden. On the way, he stopped at his own garden, and he gathered a big basket of fruits and vegetables for the children. He brought the fruits and vegetables to the children. It was time to say the hardest word. We have a Jewish holiday, and it's all about understanding that we can hurt other people's feelings, and sometimes they hurt our feelings too. And Yom Kippur is a Jewish time for Jewish people to go up to people and to say, I'm sorry, I love you. Let's try to make the next year better. And now we're going to say goodbye, and I think you know the song. Shalom chaverim, shalom chaverim, shalom, shalom, lahitraot, lahitraot, shalom, shalom. Goodbye, dear friends, goodbye, dear friends, goodbye, goodbye. Until we see each other, goodbye, goodbye. And in a moment, Yehuda is going to sing Oseh Shalom, which means may there always be peace.
Oseh Shalom Bimruma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru, Imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael.